Welcome to Tala Talks, where I share my everyday thoughts and everyday experiences. In today's video, I'm gonna share with you 4 things I wish I knew as a Filipino. And I can't wait to share this video. I'm gonna flip the camera right now to show you what it looks like. It is a beautiful Sunday and it's super busy. And that's why I'm recording this video here, because there's a lot of action going on. If you know anything about the Philippines, we love to hang around, especially by the beach. Windy now, so I'm gonna really pray that the audio is gonna cooperate. But the first thing I wish I knew as a Filipino, I wish I knew how to speak Spanish and Bisaya in this beautiful place where we are right now. There's a lot going on behind us. It's a Sunday, and so people are out and about, either diving, volleyball, just chilling by the beach. There's some people over there playing chess. But what I was wanting to say is I feel that majority of the Philippines speaks Bisaya, because when you go to the Visayas, which is where we are now, obviously people speak Bisaya here, but also when you go to Mindanao, most of them will understand Bisaya more than Tagalog. And I personally grew up learning Tagalog, which is a language that we spoke over at the Luzon area, which is the northern part of the Philippines. And so learning Bisaya is going to be absolutely super practical. And if you want to get around more accessibly with the language, with less language barrier, I definitely think that learning Bisaya is going to be very practical for you. Another one is Spanish, because we were colonized by Spain for more than 300 years. A lot of our Filipino words are actually in Spanish. So for example, you say silla, which is chair in Filipino. You also say la mesa, which is la. La is the or the in Spanish, but yeah, la mesa is a table as well in Filipino. And there's just so many other examples that I can give. Cubiertos, cuchillo, tinidor, like all of those are in Spanish, but that's actually also in Filipino. So if any of you want to learn how to speak in Tagalog or Filipino, you will be hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. So that's something for you to take note if you consider learning Filipino. Yeah, you're gonna be learning Spanish as well. So that's definitely the first thing, is definitely understanding or speaking Bisaya as well as Spanish. It's such a beautiful day out right now. I really wish all of you could be here, sending you lots of good vibes, so much positive energy. It's a nice day out. On a side little note, I was able to buy some vegetables just over here at the, I wouldn't say Darwin Market, because they're really, I mean, you have the Mega Market, which is a cemented structure. You can Google that. But just along the street, I noticed they're only here on Saturdays and Sundays. I'm gonna flip the camera to show you these goodies. Check this out. And I really love buying from Tita Edna, or Tita is a aunt in Filipino. But all of this, you won't believe at how much. $1 or 50 pesos. That's incredible. This is plenty. And I know this is not going to be part of the video, but a little tip I can give is get to know your suke. Suke is like a vendor that you frequently buy from, so you kind of have this loyalty towards this one vendor. And so when you make friends with them, or I wouldn't just say friends, because I've met so many vendors and I seem to gravitate towards, I don't know, a certain vendor, and It's only my second time to buy these beautiful vegetables from her. I don't know if you can see that. And so the first time I bought from her, she was just so, I didn't even ask for an extra cucumber, but she gave it to me for, well, 40 pesos with all the tomatoes, plus an additional cucumber. She's just been so generous. So I said, I'll come back and buy from her again. And for 50 pesos, she just gave me all of this. And, you know, I can really feel her sincerity. I can feel how kind she is. And I want to support that, you know. And as much as possible, if you can't afford, I don't try to ask for a lower price, because yeah, this is their livelihood. And yeah, I find that, you know, the good energy comes back to you anyway. The second one on my list, sorry, I got sidetracked. I'm just so proud of our fresh produce there. The second one on my list that I wish I knew more is how to navigate around the Philippines. And I'm sure if you're not from the Philippines and you try to do research online, and I've met so many travelers who have had experience with some sort of challenge or difficulty getting around the Philippines. You know, we have so many islands here. We have more than 7,700 islands. And our form of transportation is not going to be the best, especially when you're used to traveling perhaps in Singapore or other neighboring countries like Thailand and Vietnam. It might seem a little easier. Or if you're coming from Europe, the mode of transportation there, you can basically hop in a train and go to several countries all over Europe. But here, you have to allot a lot of time because, yeah, different companies own different ferries, own different airlines, own different bus lines, even tricycles. And I'm sure you've heard of this, like tricycles, taxis. Sometimes the fares are not stable. You could be overcharged, you could be charged a good price or a fair price. It's just, you know, since I'm from the Luzon part, which is the northern part of the Philippines, we didn't get to travel much around the Philippines. We would normally have long periods where we wouldn't travel. Then when we travel, we just take a plane. I suppose because we're saving time and it's more convenient, especially since my parents are of senior age at the moment. But if I had traveled a lot more when I was younger, getting to know the different airlines, well, not airlines, sorry, getting to know the different ferries, what's cheaper, what's more time efficient, what's faster, what's more comfortable, as well as buses. And I have a true story. When I was at the Batangas port, it's been very tricky because when you get out of the ferry from Puerto Galera, you are at the Batangas port, and Batangas is known for a lot of things, but in my circle, it's known for diving. It's the closest to Manila anyway. So when you get out, there is a bus terminal there, and I wouldn't recommend it. It might seem very convenient because it's right there, but we waited for the bus to get filled, and we spent at least 4 to 5 hours just waiting, and we didn't need to do that because apparently you just take a trike, a 50 peso or a $1 trike to go to a terminal outside that area, and the buses leave religiously every hour. And so we would have saved half a day had I known those things, and had I asked. I did ask, and of course all the porters, all the locals were guiding me towards that. You know, it must be some politics. Why are they the only bus lines there, and why are the other more convenient bus lines outside the terminal? So, you know, you do have to ask these questions, and I do consider it like a playground or a challenge at this point because I'm not a kid anymore. But had I known about these things when I was much younger, I feel like being able to help other people, giving more travel tips and advices, yeah, that's something that I definitely could use more, especially in the Philippines, because getting around here can be tricky, and a lot of the times you can't book these tickets online. And if you do, you have to get from a legit one or a reliable one, just to make sure. Because, like for example, we were booking a ferry from so it was from Siargao to Surigao, and yeah, there are times that we can't book direct from the ferry itself. We had to go through a third party, and yeah, it's a lot of those information that could be very useful, especially when getting around the Philippines. And sometimes they'll tell you it takes 5 hours, 6 hours, but then it ends up taking more. And sometimes, ideally, it takes less. So being a being a navigational expert, if that makes sense, around the Philippines will be very, very useful. So I wish that we took more modes of transportation, not just airlines, but buses, ferries, trikes, and all of those other things. As growing up, yeah, that would be very practical. Just a little background on myself. In context, I'm actually from the city, and so just seeing all the people out here playing under the sun, soaking in the water, inhaling fresh air, I feel like this is what life is meant to be. A lot of the times I see young people or even adults in the city just being glued to their screens, or not knowing how to even interact with other people, or like what it's like swimming in sea water. It's it's such an amazing place to be in. I do feel like we are in paradise, and we're so lucky to be in a place like this. If ever you do have the chance to visit the Philippines, I highly recommend to check out the nature. Even if I'm from the city, I can't even recommend it, because yeah, a lot of the times I am happier being close to nature, and we have so many islands here, as I've mentioned. Check out Negros, check out Mindanao. There are some red flags there because of certain issues, but you'll be fine in places like Davao or Siargao. And there's so many beautiful islands here in the Philippines. It's amazing, and also cost of accommodations and food are much cheaper outside the city, and probably even fresher. So I'm just so happy to be here, and thank you for tuning in. I don't know if you noticed that last clip, but there was a guy. They look like boyfriend and girlfriend. They look pretty young as a couple, and it's quite interesting because he was holding a box of pizza. And looking at how this place is looking, I'm pretty sure they're gonna enjoy that pizza over sunset, or maybe they won't even reach sunset depending on how delicious that pizza is. But it looks like a nice place to hang around. By the way, sun rises over there, so I guess that's the east, sets in the west. Yeah, so the sun will set over there. Yeah, it's just no wonder they were walking towards there, because I suppose they'll enjoy the clouds. When the sun sets, it's so beautiful. Like particularly in this area, the clouds turn pinkish, purple. There's some hints of yellow. It's just beautiful. But the third on my list, as a Filipina, and something that I wish I knew earlier, is the two wind directions, the two famous wind directions here. It's called Amihan and Habagat. And I suppose that's in Filipino, and I just learned recently that it stands for something else in Bisaya. And I'll admit, I just googled this a while ago. Amihan is the strong winds that are coming from the north. I hope I got that right. And Habagat are the strong winds that are coming from the south. I'm not confident in my answer. I'll flash the right answer anyway. But the reason why that's practical, and we are in a tropical country, we are actually part of the brown belt. And what the brown belt means, if you look at the map, the world map, you will see countries that are more like in the center, which is that brown belt. And the brown means countries that produces the best coffee in the world. So you'll have Central America, Philippines is included. And the reason why is we do get a lot of sun and a lot of strong winds as well. I don't think the wind is included in producing coffee, but that's another topic. But basically, it's practical to know this, because if you are planning to book a stay, if you are, let's say, deciding, oh, where am I going to travel in the Philippines, where's a good place to go, if you know the proper directions of the wind, you can choose to stay there or not, but preferably stay in a place where there's good wind, because you will be maximizing the quality of your stay, the fresh air, the natural wind. You wouldn't have to rely on AC, you wouldn't have to rely on electricity to enjoy just the natural earthy elements. And I think that's really important in quality of life. And if you plan to build a beach home, maybe you will. If you plan to build a resort, it might be practical to know the amihan and habagat as well, because then you can maximize on the direction of where your place is going to be facing. Are you going to be facing that wind tunnel for the amihan and habagat as well? I know a lot of resort owners who have taken advantage of this particular knowledge, especially if you design a place where you want to do yoga or exercises. Don't block that wind tunnel so that all throughout the year you can enjoy both the amihan and habagat. Yeah, that's something I wish I knew more, and now I do. Hopefully I got that information right, but something for you to consider if you do plan to travel around the Philippines and if you plan to choose a certain destination and location. I don't know if you can hear the background music, but there's certainly a lot of karaoke going on right now. Karaoke is what we call it. I thought they call it something else, videoke. So it's basically people singing two songs, and it's such a thing in the Philippines and in Japan. But yeah, it is a Sunday, it's family time, and so there's a lot of festive energy going on. And also, I don't know if you noticed the dive boat right across us. I don't know if you can see it from here. But where we are now, particularly in Darwin, this place has some of the rarest marine wildlife species here. There are blue-ringed octopus, there's some beautiful cuttlefish, and it's just a nice place to go diving in. In fact, the shoreline might seem shallow, but then there's a huge drop. And so sometimes you'll see a dive boat, and if they jump straight, it's actually quite a beautiful place to go snorkeling in. If you don't fancy diving, you could just float around, snorkel, and see all the amazing wildlife. There's a lot of turtles and dolphins out here as well. It's such a beautiful, positive place to be, and I can feel so much love in the environment. And to end my video, finally the fourth one. I actually feel silly about saying this, but I wish I knew how to make tuba. I feel a bit funny because tuba is fermented coconut sap, and it's one of the most delicious things I've ever had. It's obviously fermented because they get it straight from the coconut tree. I hope there's enough space for me to be flashing videos or photos. But when it's a young tuba, it tastes so delicious. It's got a sour taste if you are the type to like yogurt or froyo, like frozen yogurt. Oh, you would love tuba. Keep in mind though, there will be a small percentage of alcohol because it is fermented. But it's incredible because over at Valencia, my friend was able to get a huge, like a gallon of tuba for 20 pesos. That's like less than a US dollar. It's like less than half a US dollar. It's practically free, but it's really good for a lot of things. Digestion for sure. It's got like a lot of this good bacteria. I'm pretty sure it's good for your gut up to a certain extent. And on the second day, after trying the tuba, it just ferments really fast. So it'll get more sour and it'll have more alcohol content. And the third day and the fourth day, it just turns into vinegar, and oh, it's so delicious. And I wouldn't recommend this if you do have a sensitive stomach because I think it is acidic. Oh, but it's one of the things you have to try. And the funny thing is when the locals find out that I drink tuba, they think that it's a cheap, like, ma'am, why are you drinking that? That's cheap, like it's not good. But it is actually good. Of course, don't fill yourself with it. Maybe have a good amount. Like, I tend to drink it like water. It's so delicious. It's my favorite. But because it's so easy to make, like they sell them usually just at home, or you just ask from your neighbor, you really will rarely see it. But if you do see a sign, go and try tuba. That's one of the things I would really recommend anyone to do if you are visiting the Philippines for the first time. Oh, delicious! And there's a difference between the white tuba and the red one. I've tried both, to be honest. I can't taste the difference. I do like the white one. The red one's pretty good too. I'm not a tuba expert. I'm just a tuba enthusiast at the moment. I need to learn more about it. But that's something I wish that's something I wish I knew how to make as a Filipino anyway. I think I must have to learn how to climb a coconut tree to be able to do that. So maybe the fourth one is climbing a coconut tree, the fifth one is learning how to make tuba. But having said that, I'm gonna end the video here. We've got a full moon ceremony to catch. I might include some clips here if I'm able to. But thank you so much for watching. I hope this was, I don't know, entertaining, informative. Yeah, it could be something you might get into as well. But I'm sending you so much love. I'm sending you so much positive vibes. And I hope to see you soon in the Philippines. I appreciate each and every one of you, and have a great day ahead. Ciao for now.